and welcome to the channel Ruckosaurus Rex, where we review and discuss all things dinosaur and other prehistoric animals. How are you guys doing out there today? We've got a big one for you, and I mean that literally. Another offering from Haolonggood, another herbivore, and we have a sauropod, and we have a 1/35th scale sauropod, true 1/35th scale. Supposedly, it probably is not exactly 1/35th, but it's going to be close enough that it can definitely pass. We are talking about the Apatosaurus. You see the packaging, and you see my box got beat up in transition. I got mine from AliExpress, coming from China, and the trip was not kind to the box, as you can see. It is what it is. It's a very long box, so that made it kind of burdensome, I would expect. Despite it was wrapped up very nicely, very securely, it still got beat down. Once again, as you can plainly see. Also, as you can see, there is the illustration of an Apatosaurus skeleton right there on the front. And then looking at the top, we have, as you can see, all of the offerings from Haolonggood, or I should say most of the offerings from Haolonggood. They're not all here, but we've got plenty, as you can see, and they're growing. Haolonggood is really doing their thing. I'm not even going to flip it around to the other side. The other side is another skeletal illustration of the Apatosaurus. And today we will forego the rotating base simply because this boy is too big to get him on there. I mean, I can get him on there and have him rotate around, but I'd have to have the base and the model up close enough so that way it doesn't knock into the wall as it rotates, as it revolves around. And on top of that, I can't reduce the photo enough to get all of him in while he's on the base. So we will forego that, and we'll have to do an all-around visual the old-fashioned way via the hand. But be that as it may, here it is. We have got the Haolonggood Apatosaurus, and I am very happy for this. I've been wanting 1/35th scale or close sauropods for the longest time. It's very hard for companies to actually do that and make them in scale with their other models because, well, let's face it, sauropods are huge. They've managed to do so with some of the smaller sauropods. But once they start getting up into that 65, 70 foot and beyond range, it becomes big time problematic. We got a 1/35th scale Diplodocus from Rebor, which we reviewed not too long ago, and that worked out very nice. They definitely solved the packaging problem by having their model in 3 sections: the neck, the tail, and the torso. So that definitely compacted. Haolonggood is going to have to learn about that. But the difference between Haolonggood's Apatosaurus and Rebor's Diplodocus is that the Diplodocus the neck and the tail were bendy wire. So that was kind of a good reason. But I'm not going to just stand on that because, I mean, I'm looking at the Apatosaurus, and I'm actually looking for the seams on where they connected things up, and I could tell that the neck and the tail are separate from the torso on this, but they've got it merged and blended so well. You have to look for it to see. But enough about that. Just take in the glory of our Apatosaurus right there, looking very nice. And then, like I said, I'll just we'll flip him around, and there he is on the other side. As you can see, he's striding. His head and neck are leaning a little towards its left, as you can see. The tail, long tail, is ending in a nice curl. They were suspected of using their tails as weapons, whipping, which would be very formidable. You could definitely do damage if you get some nice whip action with these long tails. And then, of course, their sheer mass and bulk. If a predator or some other critter that got on its nerves got in its way, it could rear up and then come down, and then that would be all she wrote, for sure. These guys were huge. They weren't as long as the Diplodocus, but they were definitely thicker and brawnier. Taking a measurement of our Apatosaurus, a measurement as is, I should say, we are talking about, this guy is about 21.5 inches long. That would calculate to a little over 62.5 feet, representative of a living animal. But that's as is. Like I said, if I were to uncurl the tail and get another measurement, it'll of course come out to be longer. So I'm going to try that, but I'm not going to do all that on camera. I'll let you know what it came out to momentarily. And so off camera, I took the measurement and I gained nearly 5 additional inches. So I'll just round it off to 26 inches long from snout to tail tip. And doing the calculations, that represents an animal that's nearly 77 feet long. So that's right in there in the 1/35 scale. Apatosaurs were said to be like 68 to 75 feet long. So yeah, we're in there more or less. So like I said, it's 1/35-ish scale. So I mean, that's definitely close, especially since the bulk of that length is encapsulated in the tail. So it'll look good next to your other 1/35 scale creatures there. So very happy about that. Now let's get a closer look and then look at the details. Okay, looking at our boy up close and personal, taking a look at that small head. And it's very rare you get to say about anything being small on a sauropod, but the heads are definitely the thing. If you're going to mention anything and describe it as small on a sauropod, it would be their heads. And that's consistent throughout all species of sauropods. So that's what we know. Looking at the Apatosaurus, looks pretty good there. Haolonggood did another excellent job. And we're looking, it's got a grayish green hue. The paint job is how I'm going to classify it as. And the eyes, we're talking, the eyes are yellow with black pupils there. You can see them, the mouth. Turn to the front there. See if we can get a good look at it from the front, and we can. It looks pretty good. You see the nostrils there. There's a wash over it, a little dark there at the snout, and going up the ridge of that skull and over the eyes, or in between the eyes there. So that looks pretty nice. And going down, you see the coloration right there. It changes color. The underside is this light tannish color, and you see these right here that are protruding out. Look very nice. I said these because I couldn't think of what they would actually be called. I don't think that they would be classified as scoots because they look more spikish to me. But be that as it may, he's got them, and it's consistent on both sides, as you could see right there. Going further down, you could see, and let me tell you guys, this guy's got some weight to it. He's solid. It isn't hollow at all. He has got some weight to him. Then going down the body, you could see some of the scales right there. The wrinkles looking good with that left leg pushing off. That looks very nice there. That left forelimb, you could see the wrinkles going on there. I'm going to turn it up again so we can see the feet, and it's got it's got um, it's got a thumb claw, but it isn't as pronounced as I would think it should be. I could be wrong about that, but there is a semblance of a thumb claw right there. And then while we're under here, look at that underbelly. You see that, nice and smooth. It's got some streaks of skin going on right there, and then of course they're the rear feet, and they've got the nails painted, looking nice. Then looking at the tail, it's all, basically just two colors up to this point, going down the tail. And you see it curls off, and then it actually changes color when it gets to the tip. You can uncurl the tail, and it gets to like an orange kind of color. And then flipping to the other side, you get more of the same thing. You see you've got some dark, like a wash going on down there. Right there at the we'll see if it has the cloaca area, and it does have a cloaca back there. You can see it right there where my thumb is. And the right hind leg, you see it looks like it landed. You see the skin stretching right there, pretty cool. More folds right there, pretty cool. Yeah, this is a pretty nice figure. Looking at the top, have to set it down. Like I said, it's got some weight to him. And yeah, very nice. Yeah, not crazy colorful, but I don't think that they would have been very colorful anyway, as large as they were. Nature tends to not have their larger animals, their larger species of animals, to be very colorful. And that seems to be consistent, whether it's reptilian or mammalian. So that's how it goes down. And now for some comparisons, as I have attempted to get both of these big boys into the same frame, the same shot, and I managed to do so. Obviously, I had to play the angle game in order to get them all in. And of course, you're not going to get them all in with those long tapering tails. But here we have the dinosaur for which this group of sauropods are so named. We've got the Diplodocus from Rebor, and yeah, they are contemporaries too. Not only were they of the same group of sauropods, they were contemporaries in terms of the time that they lived and the area, So that is something to be said. I'm going to see if I can find a way to get them lined up so you can see the differences. The Diplodocus would be longer, the Apatosaurus would be heavier and thicker. And this was the best I could come up with. I actually had to redo this shot, and fortunately, because the Diplodocus comes with bendy neck, I was able to turn the neck in because he was going to be totally out of the shot. And I do mean he. This is the male reborn Diplodocus. But you could see that the Apatosaurus is at least from the back, as in terms of height, stands a little bit taller, and it's hard to tell the thickness. I'm going to have to do something else so you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the thickness. But what I tried to do was line up the torsos as evenly as possible, and then you could see how much longer the Diplodocus's neck is opposed to the Apatosaurus, and as well as the tail. I spoke on how long the Apatosaurus tail is. It's got nothing on the dip, not at all. And as I stated before, these guys were contemporaries. They were existent in the same areas and around the same time, about 161 million to 145 million years ago in the Jurassic period. And there were a lot of sauropods roaming around. You had the Brachiosaurus. There was Camarasaurus, which was a little smaller than the Apatosaurus. Not just a little, significantly amount. I think the Camarasaurus got up to about 60, maybe to 65 feet long, which was big in its own right, and it was also a part of the Diplodocus family as well. Definitely a time to be a sauropod. And it was no wonder how successful this group of dinos were. And speaking of contemporaries, here's the contemporary predator, thought to be the apex predator during this time. We're talking about the Allosaurus. And this is what I've hoped for. I mentioned this with the Diplodocus, but an accurate or close to scaled sauropod Apatosaurus or Brontosaurus to go with the Allosaurus. This right here this is how they looked in terms of size comparisons back then. This is what I've always envisioned. I'm loving it. And lest I forget, the Allosaurus is from PNSO. And now we'll take a look at our Apatosaurus with some other Haolonggood, well, goodness. Here we have the Pentaceratops, the Nasutoceratops, the Tyrannosaurus, the Oranosaurus, and poking his head out, the Pachyrhinosaurus. All from Haolonggood, and we're not done. We've got a couple more models coming our way, and I'll be sure to bring them to you. Here's a Apatosaurus with a 1/35th scale human, and I can tell you guys firsthand that this is definitely accurate. And you would know if you've stood under the skeleton of a Apatosaurus at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. Yeah, this is about right. So wrapping up this review of the Haolonggood 1/35th scale Apatosaurus, I just have to say I'm elated, I'm ecstatic. This is a great model. 1/35th scale. My other 1/35th scale models go right along with it, and I couldn't be happier. As far as the coloration, the grayish, what did I call it? Grayish green, I guess I called it, is kind of dull in my eyes. But once again, when it comes to larger animals, I never really believe that they're supposed to be all bright and colorful anyway. So I'm cool with it. I do. It's not that I dislike it. It's just that, I mean, it looks plain. That's all I can say. But once again, I think that's apropos for such a large animal, back from when it was in the wild. The pose, very dynamic. It's walking. You could see that despite its great size, it wasn't just a lumberer, so to speak. It's walking very lively. Yeah, looks very good. I think they missed the mark on the thumb claw per se. I could be wrong about that. Still unsure, but I think that the thumb claw on the forelimbs should be a little bit more pronounced. But that's a small nitpick regarding accuracy. Other than that, I think it's a very nice model. I'm loving it. I'm glad I have it. The package is pretty long, so anybody that's trying to get the Apatosaurus from Haolonggood, be prepared. Yeah, it's a pretty long package, so that's going to work against shipping costs unless you can get it, free shipping or something like that. But yeah, and if you get it from overseas, be prepared for your packaging to get a bit beat up. So you do have that. Other than that, I mean, I have no complaints. I'm very happy to have this model, and I'm sure you guys would be very satisfied with it as well. Haolonggood's been pumping out the vegetarians, the herbivores, and they're not stopping. I do hear that they're supposed to be getting a theropod very soon. I don't know exactly which one it'll be, but I believe they're going to be blessing us with a sauropod. I'm sorry, a theropod after this wave of herbivores. So we'll see what that'll be. I'm not. It's cool if they do, and I'll be here for it. Theropods are my favorite grouping of dinosaurs, but PNSO seems to have that on lock, so we can get more herbivores from Haolonggood and whomever else is down to provide them for us. So having said that, please like, share, and subscribe. to this channel. I've seen a couple of new subscribers quite recently. Thank you so much. And leave your comments below. What do you think about this Apatosaurus from Haolonggood? Do you like that it's in 1/35th scale? Do you want to see more? Do you want to see Haolonggood or Rebor or someone else go bigger? And I mean bigger in terms of sauropods at 1/35th scale. Can you imagine? You see the size of this Apatosaurus. Can you imagine an Argentinosaurus or Bottega Titan in 1/35th scale? Wow. Anyhow, that'll do it for this review, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care.